Broadcasting sa Pilipinas, ABS-CBN Broadcast Center, Manila, dinala na ngayon sa iyo ang iyong dose ng
makabago,
kusang loob,
at impluwensyal na balita.
Magandang umaga! Ako'y si Lizzie at ito ang PNB Philippines. Iyong gabay sa mundo ng mga balitang mahalaga.
At ako si Yuki, kasama niyo ngayon sa PNB Philippines sa isang espesyal na pag-rewind ng mga kapansing-pansing balita mula sa nakalipas na taon. Sa ulo ng mga balitang lokal,
nagbabanta ang mga mambabatas na babayaran ang Pambansang Komisyon ng Human Rights na nagreresulta sa pag-urong ng suporta para sa mga karapatan sa abortion. Ang Human Rights Watch ay nagtaas ng mga alalahanin sa mga implikasyon ng hakbang ito. Narito si Althea Paris upang dalhin sa amin ang mga detalye.
Salamat, Lizzie. Sa mga talakayan ng pambansang budget, may plano ang ilang miyembro ng Kongreso ng Pilipinas na tanggalin ang pondong inilaan sa Commission on Human Rights o CHR dahil sa kanilang hindi pagsang-ayon sa abortion noong Nobyembre 2023. Nag-backtrack ang chairman ng CHR sa suporta ng abortion, ngunit nagpahayag ng pagkabahala ang Human Rights Watch sa mga banta na ito. Binibigyan diin ang kahalaga ng sapat na pondo para sa CHR upang maprotektahan ang karapatan ng lahat ng Pilipino. Matagal nang nakipaglaban ang mga tagapagtaguyod ng karapatan ng kababaihan sa Pilipinas para sa diskriminasyon ng abortion. Binanggit ang mga estatistika na nagpapakitang sila'y napipilitang sumailalim sa lihim at hindi ligtas ng mga kondisyon upang magpalaglag, na inilalagay ang kanilang sarili sa malubhang panganib sa mental at pisikal. Sa kritikal na yugto ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ang panganib sa budget ng CHR ay maaaring magdulot ng hindi lamang ng alanganin sa reproductive rights, o kundi pati na rin sa mas malawak na misyon nito na protektahan ang karapatan ng lahat. Ito ang ating sitwasyon ngayon at patuloy tayong magsubaybay sa mga kaganapan. Balik sa'yo, Lizzie.
Salamat, Miss Paris. Patuloy nating susubaybayan ang kwentong ito habang umuunlad dito. Sa susunod na balita, sa San Jose de Buenavista Antique, isang programa na lokal na pamahalaan ang nagalaan ng oportunidad sa mga magulang ng mga batang may kapansanan. Yuki?
noong ika-4 ng Desyembre 2023 sa San Jose de Buenavista Antique, isang programa ng lokal na pamahalaan ay nagbibigay ng trabaho sa mga magulang ng mga batang may kapansanan. Ang Asosasyon ng mga May Kapansanan sa Munisipalidad o AKMA ay nagtatampok ng 10 mga magulang na gumagawa ng mga produkto, suportado ng mga makinang pantahi mula sa Department of Trade and Industry. Ang inisyatibong ito ay nagbibigay daan para sa mga magulang na kumikita ng halos 2,000 kada buwan, habang tinutugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng kanilang mga anak dahil maaari silang magtrabaho sa bahay man o sa sentro. Binibigyang diin ni San Jose de Buenavista Mayor Elmer Ontaran ang mga masasayang aktibidades ng bayan, kabilang ang Santa Ride para sa mga bata, senior citizens, at mahihirap bilang bahagi ng Paskwa sa Banwa at ng Antique Biniyanan Festival.
Nagastos ni VP Sara Duterte ang 125 million pesos sa loob ng 11 araw? Alamin natin kay Chloe. Live mula sa San Miguel, Metro Manila.
Dahil sa pag-aalala ng publiko sa 2022 Audit Report, isinawalat ng isang legislative inquiry na ang mga pondo mula sa 2022 national budget ay na-redirect para itatag ang 125 million confidential na pondo ng Vice Presidente at Education Secretary Sara Duterte para sa national security. Sa ilalim ng pamumuno ng OVP, nagastos ng opisina ang itinakdang pondo sa loob lamang ng 11 araw. Gayunpaman, isang paliwanag mula sa Commission on Audit, COA, noong September 27, 2023, ay nagpapatunay na ang 125 milyon na confidential fund ay ginamit ng OVP sa loob ng 16 na araw. Hindi ang una nilang iniulat na 11 araw. Sino man kumukontra sa confidential fund ay kumukontra sa kapayapaan. Kung sino man ang kumukontra sa kapayapaan ay kalaban ng bayan. Sabi ng OVP noong Oktubre. Naintindihan naman ni Sara Duterte ang malawakang pagkadismaya at galit ng publiko tungkol sa kanyang papel sa issue na ito sa gitna ng pambansang budget at crisis sa kompedensyal ng pondo. Binigyan diin ni Duterte na ang mga matitinding pagsubok sa ekonomiya na bunga ng mga digmaan sa Israel, Hamas, Ukraine at Russia ay higit na malala kaysa sa mga hamon sa politika. Binibigyan diin rin niya ang paparating na panahon ng taghirap, lalo na sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilhin. Hindi raw ito panahon para magkontra lalo't malayo pa ang susunod na eleksyon at mayroong mas maraming issue na kailangan tutukan. Dapat din daw ay matulungan at magkaisa ang lahat para sa kapakanan ng bansa.
Nagbabagang balita. Isa na namang usapin sa larangan ng pampulitikang usapin ng gobyerno at may relasyon kay Vice President Sara Duterte at ang kanyang pagsagot sa kontrobersyal na issue tungkol sa plano ng dating Pangulo.
Noong Nobyembre, ang dating Pangulo na si Rodrigo Duterte ay nagsasabi na siya ay mapipilitang tumakbo muli sa pampublikong opisina kung sakaling ma-impeach ang kanyang anak na si OVP Sara Duterte kaugnay sa kontrobersyal na 125 milyong confidential fund na iniulat na nagastos nito sa loob lamang ng 11 araw. Si Duterte ay nagbibigay tugon sa aligadong pag-uusap ng impeachment na inaasahan ng ilang miyembro ng House of Representatives laban sa Vice Presidente na sinasabi niyang babalik siya sa politika sakaling mangyari ito. Sa isang programa sa telebisyon, sinabi rin niya na mapipilitan siyang tumakbo bilang Vice Presidente o Senador. Samantalang sa isang ambush interview, may ilang salita lamang ang sinabi ng Vice Presidente hinggil sa inaasahang eleksyon ng kanyang ama. Kung anuman ang desisyon ng Pangulong Duterte, buo ang suporta ng kanyang pamilya. Ayon sa kanya, susuportahan ng pamilya Duterte ang dating Pangulo kung itutuloy nito ang plano na tumakbo sa opisina sa 2028. Katulad ng suporta niya sa kanyang pamilya sa kanilang ambisyon sa politika. Ang pangako na suporta mula sa Vice Presidente ay nagbibigay diin sa solidong pundasyon ng kanilang pamilya, hindi lamang sa larangan ng politika, kundi pati na rin sa personal na aspeto ng kanilang buhay. Althea Palace, PNB, Philippines.
Magandang dilag ang paksa natin sa araw na to. Siya si Michelle Marquez D. o mas kilala sa inisyal na MMD. Pero sino nga ba siya? At bakit siya ang hot topic sa mga social media ngayon? Alamin natin.
Si MMD ang nagtagumpay na maging representante ng ating bansa sa ika-72 taong pagtakbo ng programang Miss Universe, ang beauty pageant na inabangan ng karamihan ng mga Pinoy taon-taon. Sa taong ito ay si Michelle Marquez D ang nagwagi bilang Miss Universe Philippines 2023.
Kung si Melanie Marquez na nanalong Miss International ng taong 1974. Sila ang perpektong ebidensya sa kasabihang it runs through the blood. Si Michelle ay hindi lang sa MUPH sumali. Noong taong 2019 ay siya rin ang nakuha sa titulong Miss World Philippines, pati sa evening gown portion ng Miss Universe Philippines Tourism 2022.
Sa coronation night ng MUPH, para sa huling 5 kandidato, ang nagbigay ng tanong na pare-pareho sa bawat kandidata ay si Xian Lim. Sa tanong na, "For you, what is the best that we can offer to the rest of the world? Why do you consider it so?" Sa tanong na iyon, ang sinagot ni Michelle D, Miss Makati ay,
Miss Makati,
Good evening.
here's our question. Income inequality is still high in the Philippines. The gap between the rich and the poor remains. How do we close that gap?
I think first we have to recognize what we have and the privileges that we have, such as food, education, and homes. I think the best way to address this is really through education, because education holds no status quo. And every Filipino child has the right to an education, but not just any education, but quality education. Because I believe if the government can provide this to every Filipino child, then we can not only elevate their quality of life, but we can empower them as well.
Thank you, Ms. Makati. Recently, the Department of Tourism has adopted a new branding campaign. We give the world our best. For you, what is the best that we could offer to the rest of the world? Why do you consider it so?
The Philippines is home to very beautiful natural resources, from the beaches to mountains, but I firmly believe that the best natural resource that the Philippines has is us Filipinos. We are the true heart and soul of the Philippines, with the way we are hospitable, with the warm smiles, and we are the reason why the world keeps coming back for more. No matter where the universe takes me, I will always be proud to call the Philippines my home. And no matter what happens, I will always be proud to call myself Pinoy. Thank you.
Sa kanyang naging panalong sagot, si MMD ang nagwagi sa corona ng Miss Universe Philippines 2023.
At yan po ang mga balitang lokal na inihahatid sa inyo ng aming programa. Maraming salamat sa pagtutok sa amin. Ito ang PNB Philippines, lagi niyong kaagapay. Balitang tapat, balitang sapat,
Lahat ilalantad sa inyo'y nararapat. Abangan naman natin ang weather forecast at alamin po natin ang magiging lagay ng panahon mula sa aming PNB Weather Meteorology Team.
Good morning, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Today is Monday, January 1, 2024. I'm Chloe Hayam, and we begin with a comprehensive look at the weather forecast for today, January 1, 2024, and what to expect for the next 2 following days.
We gathered historical weather data on the following regions, considering various factors such as temperature, precipitation, and wind speed. Combining this with real-time data from satellite imagery and Weather API, we have a comprehensive dataset. According to Pagasa, the influence of the northeast monsoon or amihan and easterlies continue to affect our country. Easterlies are winds that come from the Pacific Ocean, which will bring humid and warm weather across the country. This morning, the eastern side of the Philippines, predominantly eastern Visayas, is currently experiencing light rain with a precipitation range of 0.2 to 1 mm per hour. From 12 p.m. to late afternoon, northern Luzon, encompassing Bagao, Tuguegarao, Ilagan, and Santiago, as well as the southern regions, western Mindanao, Butuan, Cagayan de Oro, Prosperidad, are encountering light rain with a rate of 1 mm per hour. Throughout the day, Batanes and Cagayan, as well as the Babuyan Islands, are observing cloudy skies with light rain due to the amihan. At the same time, Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region or CAR, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, and Metro Manila are experiencing partly cloudy skies with isolated light rains. Also due to the northeast monsoon, the rest of the country will witness partly cloudy skies to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers.
using statistical methods such as finding the mean, median, and mode, we analyzed the historical weather data. This allowed us to identify trends and seasonal patterns, providing a foundation for our forecasting models. As you can see, we have charts illustrating temperature fluctuations throughout the day and maps showing the expected precipitation patterns. On January 1st, 2024, the chance of rain is at 42%, with a temperature of 28.5 degrees and humidity reaching 70.5%. Moving on to January 2, 2024, we observe a decrease in the chance of rain to 14%, while the temperature remains steady at 28.5 degrees and humidity slightly drops at 70.2%. As we look forward to January 3, 2024, be prepared for an increased likelihood of rain at 61%, accompanied by a slight dip in temperature at 28 degrees. The humidity continues to decrease, reaching 69.7%. Calculating the means, we find that the average chance of rain over these days is approximately 39%, the average temperature is 28.32 degrees, and the average humidity is around 70.13%. As mentioned previously, Our dataset presents a 14% chance of rain on January 2nd, a 42% chance on January 1st, and a 61% chance on January 3rd. After organizing these figures, the median chance of rain over these days stands at 42%. As for the temperatures, we've recorded values of 28, 28.5, and 28.5 degrees for January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd respectively. We find that the median temperature for these days settles at 28.5 degrees. Lastly, our humidity readings for the same period are 69.7%, 70.2%, and 17.5%, and the median humidity level rests at 70.2%.
Now, in our weather data, let's revisit the concept of mode, the value that appears most frequently. When we observe the values of 14%, 42%, and 61%, none of these values repeat. So, there is no mode for the chance of rain. Moving on, the values for temperature are 28.5 and 28. The value 28.5 appears twice, making it the mode for the temperature. Lastly, humidity values are 69.7%, 70.2%, and 70.5%. None of these values repeat, and so there is no mode for humidity.
Based on our statistical models, real-time data, and insights gained from our previous weather forecasts, we anticipate a humid and cloudy day for most regions in the next 24 hours. It is highly probable that the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers, particularly around the shores of western Visayas and almost the entire Mindanao will experience rainy weather, and it will continue until noon. In Visayas, there's a low chance of rain all throughout the day tomorrow, so expect a hot and humid weather. In Luzon, from morning to noon, it will rain in Aurora, Quezon, Rizal, Laguna, Oriental Mindoro, and Camarines provinces. Other regions will experience an overcast sky with little to no rain all throughout. For tomorrow's heat index forecast, the temperature is expected to fluctuate between 26 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, with a 65% chance of relative humidity, forming a slight chance of precipitation in the late afternoon.
A cloud cluster is being monitored to the east of Visayas, outside the Philippine Area of Responsibility, or also known as PAR. The northerly will get stronger on Tuesday and Wednesday, and at the same time, the possible formation of a shear line or border between the cloud northerly and the warm easterlies in our country. And if there is a low pressure area formed from the cloud cluster, it is possible to enter the PAR on Wednesday. Expect that on the 3rd of January, early morning, there will be scattered rain showers and heavy to intense rain in some parts of Palawan and a big part of Mindanao. Also expect rain in some parts of Limaropa, Bicol Region, and Metro Manila, based from the rainfall forecast of Metro Weather. The rest of Luzon will have isolated light rains, also due to the northeast monsoon, but no significant impact is expected. Moderate to heavy rains in those areas may potentially result in flash floods or landslides. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration's PAG-ASA added in its 4 a.m. bulletin, so stay alert at all times. You can expect about 3 to 8 days of rain in the Philippines during the month of January. So it's a good idea to bring along your umbrella so that you don't get caught in poor weather.
In a 3-day forecast spanning from January 1 to January 3, today has the highest temperature, which is 32 degrees Celsius, and minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. The weather conditions will be partly cloudy with a gentle breeze and isolated rain showers. The sun will rise at 6:20 a.m. and set at 5:38 p.m. Here are some statistical representations, graphs, and charts that show the recurring weather patterns and temperature fluctuations for this month. We constantly validate our forecast against actual observations. So, our testing and validation process ensures that you receive the most reliable information. To gather our data, we use sources such as PAG-ASA, Open Weather API, Philippine News Agency, and Zoom Earth as our model to monitor occurring weather patterns. As we move forward, stay tuned to PNB Philippine Weather Forecast for real-time updates, as we will be closely tracking the development of the cloud cluster to the east of Visayas and its potential impact on our weather. Remember to stay informed and prepared, especially as we approach January 3rd, when scattered rain showers and heavy to intense rains are expected in certain regions. Our team remains dedicated to providing you with the most reliable and timely weather information to keep you updated and well informed. We'll be sure to keep you updated throughout the day on any changes. Stay safe and have a great day.
Stay tuned for our upcoming segment where we delve into the drugs and disorders in the nervous system. Additionally, we'll provide insight into the background about the passing of this iconic celebrity, whose voice has left an indelible mark on the hearts and souls of millions. None other than the unforgettable Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston, who has since passed away, remains a significant figure in pop culture. Her impact is so profound that simply just mentioning her first name is enough for people to recognize her. Her legendary vocals have left a lasting mark on the music industry, even in the wake of her tragic death in 2012. Although Whitney's life appeared to be glamorous to an outsider, she struggled with addiction and substance misuse, which ultimately resulted in her passing.
February 11, 2012, a day before the Grammy Awards, Houston was pronounced dead after being discovered unresponsive, submerged in her bathroom in Suite 434 at Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California, leading to her untimely death. The official cause of her demise, as reported by the coroner's office, was ruled as an accidental drowning, with contributing factors of heart disease and cocaine use. The 42-page coroner's report highlighted that Houston had several substances in her system at that time of her death, including cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, which is an anti-anxiety medication, Benadryl, an allergy medication, and Flexeril, which is muscle relaxant. However, it was determined that these substances, except for cocaine, did not play a role in her passing.
The report emphasized the connection between Whitney Houston's death and her chronic cocaine use, citing the presence of cocaine in metabolites. The report also highlighted the formation of cocathelin in Houston's liver, a substance resulting from the combined use of cocaine and alcohol. Cocaine, a highly addictive stimulant, can have detrimental effects on the brain, leading to issues such as irritability, paranoia, and impaired cognitive functions. It may also make a person more likely to relapse if they try to stop using the drug. Cocaine stimulant properties can elevate heart rate and blood pressure, putting a strain on the cardiovascular system. In Houston's case, the stress, combined with her heart disease, contributed to this unfortunate outcome.
While cocaine use had a role in her death, Houston had previously expressed that her addiction was not intended as a method of self-harm. She told Diane Sawyer in 2000 during an interview on Primetime, "I can tell you that I am not self-destructive. I'm not a person who wants to die. I'm a person who has life, who wants to live, and I always have, and they wouldn't mistake it for anything else other than that." Houston's love for life and simultaneous struggles with addiction make her death as a result of cocaine use even more tragic.
Craig Harvey, the county coroner's chief for Los Angeles County, provided the synopsis of the preliminary toxicology report in a statement to ABC News on Thursday. Harvey explained that though the level of cocaine in Houston's system was not necessarily fatal on its own, her death was made worse by both chronic cocaine use and pre-existing heart disease. "We had approximately a 60% occlusion in the arteries and the narrowing of the arteries," Harvey explained. So that condition, complicated by the chronic cocaine use, all combined to result in her drowning. The final cause of death has been established as drowning due to atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use. Atherosclerotic heart disease is a buildup of plaque inside the arteries and narrows the blood vessels that supply blood and oxygen to the heart, according to the National Institutes of Health. It is not known how long the singer had the condition.
The discovery of water in Hughes indicated that she was alive when submerged, further emphasizing the accidental nature of her job. This tragic event serves as a stark reminder of the risk associated with drug abuse, especially when coupled with existing health conditions, and highlights the importance of understanding the impact of substances on the nervous system and overall well-being.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lizzie, and welcome to PNB Philippines. So our focus for today is the nature of reality. To get an on-the-ground perspective, we'll soon connect live with a reporter who'll start us off with the first argument.
Thank you, Lizzie. Let's begin by talking about the design argument, also known as the theological argument. This suggests that the order and the complexity in the natural world show that there must be intelligent design. People who support this argument claim that the way things are organized and how they work in the world couldn't have happened by chance alone. They believe that this points to the existence of an intelligent being like God who created the universe. One important person who supported the design argument was William Paley, a philosopher from the 18th century. Paley's most impactful contribution is his book titled Natural Theology, or Evidences of the Existence and Attributes of the Deity, collected from the appearances of nature, which was published in 1802. Within this book, Paley presented an exposition of natural theology, the idea that the nature of God can be understood from studying His creation, the natural world. Notably, he introduced a widely recognized metaphor in the philosophy of science, often referred to as the watchmaker analogy.
Although William Paley and Charles Darwin had different ideas about God and design, Darwin was influenced by Paley's notion of adaptation. Darwin believed that organisms are well suited to their environments and that their structures reflect the functions they perform throughout their lives. However, Darwin's theory of natural selection presented challenges to the concept of natural theology. Isaac Newton, 1643 to 1727, an English polymath, active as a mathematician and a physicist, also supported the design argument. He thought that the way our thumbs are unique shows that God designed each one of us with care and love. He said that what is true about the human thumb is even truer on the universe itself. He uses this as an example to prove the existence of God, which he states, "The fact that we all have individual patterns on our thumbs is evidence that God has planned each human separately." However, not everyone agrees with the design argument. John Stuart Mill, 1806 to 1873, an English language philosopher of the 19th century, argued against it. He stated that the suffering and cruelty we see in nature show that the design is flawed. And according to him, if there was a God who designed everything, then that God would be cruel.
The first cause argument, also known as the cosmological argument, seeks to explain the existence of God based on observations about the universe. It follows a general pattern of reasoning and draws inferences from specific facts about the cosmos. These facts include the dependence of beings and events in the universe, the contingent nature of the universe itself, meaning it could have been different or not existed at all, the possibility of explaining the big conjunctive contingent fact, and the idea that the universe came into being. To put it briefly, it says that the universe must have had a cause, and the cause is the creator who is outside the universe. The argument suggests that there is a perfect and eternal creator who wants to bring about life. The Big Bang Theory by George Lemaitre is the most widely accepted account of the origin of the universe. It states that everything began from a singularity that expanded over 13.7 billion years, resulting in the expanding cosmos we see today. Astronomers cannot directly observe the universe's birth, but mathematical models in the cosmic microwave background provide evidence of it. Alternative explanations such as the eternal inflation or the oscillating universe are proposed by some theorists as well. Theists say that the Big Bang supports the first cause argument, explaining that the specific conditions necessary for life, like the size and the color of the sun, the position and the orbit of the Earth, and the presence of the Moon show that someone deliberately created the world. However, atheists see the Big Bang as a random event that doesn't need a God to explain it.
The moral argument aims to establish the existence of God by pointing to the presence of moral laws. These moral laws take the form of commands, providing guidance on proper behavior. What sets them apart is their supreme authority, demanding unwavering obedience in all circumstances. Given that moral commands surpass human authority, it follows that they must originate from a being whose authority transcends all human limitations. The existence of moral laws, therefore, serves as evidence for the existence of a supreme being who surpasses us all and governs over the entirety of creation. Lastly, there's the ontological argument, which goes back to St. Anselm, Archbishop of Canterbury, which was then used by René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy. In his work, The Proslogium, St. Anselm presents an argument that revolves around the concept of God. The concept of God exists in the mind as an idea. A being that exists both as an idea in the mind and in reality is greater than a being that exists only as an idea. Therefore, if God were to exist only as an idea in the mind, it would be possible to imagine something greater than God, which contradicts the initial premise. Since we cannot conceive of anything greater than God, it follows that God must exist in reality. Simply put, the argument tries to prove the existence of God based only on logic. It says that once we can think of the idea of God, it becomes impossible for him not to exist.
So how is understanding and talking about these arguments important for students? When students study about these arguments, they practice critical thinking and evaluate different viewpoints, which helps them learn to analyze evidence and form well-thought-out opinions. This helps them become better at solving problems and making decisions about their lives. And by studying these arguments, students can think about their own beliefs, values, and purpose. They reflect on questions like, why are we here? Or what is the meaning of life? This self-reflection helps us grow as individuals and find our own sense of meaning and direction. We learn to understand and appreciate other people's side of the argument, even if we don't agree with them. This openness gives us students a deeper understanding of human history, thought, and how people have tried to make sense of the world over time.
So as we conclude this segment, let's not see these arguments as mere intellectual exercises, but as windows into the human experience, guiding us towards a more profound understanding of our place in the universe. Again, this is our PNP News team bringing you the news that matters. But before we wrap up today's report, why not indulge in a bit of extra knowledge? Let's hear it from our trivia segment, Circling Knowledge.
Welcome, math enthusiasts, to another exciting edition of Circling Knowledge, your daily trivia news provider. Ever wondered how a simple circle can unlock the secrets of angles and trigonometry? Well, today, we're about to unravel that mystery as we dive into the fascinating world of the unit circle. This fundamental tool in trigonometry provides us with easier reference points when dealing with trigonometric functions and angle measurements.
It's a circle with a radius of 1 unit centered at the origin of a coordinate plane. A radian is an angle whose corresponding arc in a circle is equal to the radius of the circle. Now, on the basis of radians, the formula of the circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times radius. While in the unit circle, the radius is 1, so it will be 2 times pi times 1, which is equal to 2 pi, and 2 pi is 1 full revolution in the circle. Now, on the basis of degrees, we all know that 360 degrees is 1 full revolution. Now, in the unit circle, 0 degrees or 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi. So if we split that circle into half, you will get pi. And if you split pi into half, you will get pi over 2 or 1.5 pi. Now imagine 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2, which is the fourth point of the circle.
Cos will always be the x coordinate, and sin will always be the second value, or the y coordinate. The sin value for the angle 1, 0 is 0, and the cos value is 1. At the circle's top, pi over 2 The coordinates 0, 1 go straight up for 1 unit, which is sin is equals to 1, and don't move sideways at all, and cos is equals to 0. Heading to negative 1 and 0, the point shifts completely to the left, which makes cos negative 1, and since there is no up-down movement, sin is 0. Finally, at the circle's bottom, represented by 0 and negative 1, the sin is negative 1 due to the complete downward shift, and the cos is 0 because of no horizontal movement.
Now, onto the units of measurements we use in the unit circle. Angles can be measured in either degrees or radians. There's an infinite number of points in a normal circle, but in the unit circle there are only 16 points. And let me explain that. Since we know that this line forms a 180-degree angle, it will have 6 divisions of 30 degrees each, meaning that each sector will be pi over 6. In the first sector, we have 1 pi over 6, or pi over 6, then 2 pi over 6, which is reduced to pi over 3, then 3 pi over 6 reduced to pi over 2, 4 pi over 6 reduced to 2 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 6. Moving down, we have 6 pi over 6, or just basically pi, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, or 4 pi over 3, 9 pi over 6, or 3 pi over 2, 10 pi over 6, or 5 pi over 3, and 11 pi over 6, which is already the lowest term, and lastly, 12 pi over 6, or 2 pi. Now, this set of points is going to be based on what happens when you divide the circle into 45-degree angles, and each sector will be pi over 4 in size. In the first sector, we have 1 pi over 4, then 2 pi over 4 in the second sector, which is reduced to pi over 2, and 3 pi over 4, and 4 pi over 4, or pi. Don't these all look familiar? Moving down, we have 5 pi over 4, doesn't need to be reduced, 6 pi over 4, or 3 pi over 2, 7 pi over 4, then 8 pi over 4, or basically 2 pi. So the same thing happens when you divide a circle into 6 parts, with 60-degree angles each, and each sector is pi over 3. First is 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3 or pi, 4 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3, and lastly 6 pi over 3 or 2 pi.
Starting at 0, you go counterclockwise, turning to a right angle. It will give you 90 degrees. If you add another 90 degrees, you will get a straight line, which is equals to 180 degrees. And 2 more will bring you back to the beginning. Going all the way around sums up to 360 degrees, forming a complete unit circle.
So altogether it looks like this. Each label corresponds to the size of the angle at the origin, from the positive x-axis swept around counterclockwise to the label point. So now we can easily identify the corresponding angles in degrees or radians with the help of this circle right here.
The 30, 60, 90 triangle rule is a very useful method in terms of finding the 2 remaining sides of a triangle if only one side's measurement is given or provided. In the 30, 60, 90 triangle, the angles are in the ratio 1:2:3. When a 30, 60, 90 triangle is inscribed in a unit circle, the hypotenuse corresponds to the radius of the circle, and the sides are in the ratio 1:3:2, which are also the coordinates of a point on the unit circle. We know that the longest side of the triangle is called hypotenuse. Take note that the side's measurement mirrors with the opposite angle like this. Now for right triangles with a certain angle measurement, such as the 30, 60, 90, it has default side measurements. The short leg will be x, the long leg will be the square root of 3, and the hypotenuse will be 2x. Besides the 30, 60, 90 triangles, there is also a 45, 45, 90 where the long and short legs are congruent because of its opposite angle. The ratio of the lengths of the sides of a 45, 45, 90 triangle is always 1:1 square root of 2, meaning that if one leg is x units long, then the other leg is also x units long, then the hypotenuse is x square root of 2 units long.
And there you have it, the unit circle, a powerful tool in the realm of trigonometry. From key points and angles to trig functions and graphical representations, we've covered it all. We hope you enjoyed today's trivia at Circling Knowledge.
This is our PNB News team, and you can always rely on us to provide you with the facts that matter.
Now, as we sign off, stay informed, update, and connected.
Balitang tapat, balitang sapat. Lahat ilalantad sa inyo'y nararapat. PNB Philippines.